Ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, scholars and dignitaries, welcome to another episode. Welcome to my world. Hello, friends. So many of us still remember Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. His work helped to guide the civil rights movement in the 1960s, not just into a movement for freedom and acceptance and equality, but because of his passion and his innate wisdom and a love based in his love and understanding of Jesus. Dr. King was a Baptist minister who believed in peace and love, equality and civil rights for all. And part of his enduring legacy is that he turned a situation that could have been quite explosive, even to the point of civil war, into a movement that was positive and constructive and which has lasted and progressed over these many decades. His work, which was gaining support, reached a peak on August 28, 1963, when he gave his iconic speech to over 250,000 people in front of the Lincoln Memorial at Washington, D.C. And of course, not only were those present witness to this historic speech, but it was broadcast to the whole country. Now, this wasn't a political speech. It was a speech about human dignity and stood as a pivotal and defining moment for the advancement of civil rights. But also, it was presented in a paradigm that won people's hearts and minds and understanding and support. He presented his thoughts and feelings in a way that could reach out to every American, and he presented them in a way that was sensitive, sympathetic, touching and moving, yet penetrating and profound. This may sound simplistic today. After all he really wanted to do was to call for civil rights for both blacks and whites, to call for economic rights for both blacks and whites, and to call for an end to the horrible scourge of racism that existed in those days. Today, we take all that for granted, but to view it with the eyes of those days, it wasn't simplistic at all. It was groundbreaking. For the first time, African Americans had the eyes of a nation watching, had the ears of a nation listening, and instead of another political speech given by hundreds of politicians over the years, his speech turned out to be one of the greatest in the English language of all time. And that day, he entered the ranks of those few and special men who have set the course of history, not just for blacks, but for all Americans. Now, there were several points that Dr. King brought up that day, but essentially it was to serve to correct a grave injustice in America about how blacks still live in the shackles of discrimination and poverty and horrors of prejudice, and how all men are born with and deserve dignity and discipline, and that all men are guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So that speech on that day was not threatening to most Americans, but actually presented a view about a culture, a lifestyle that most people just didn't realize was happening, or at least did not know was happening at that level of reality. It was an awakening to those Americans who didn't know how bad the problems really were, and it presented an opportunity for them to join in a renewal of America. But one sentence in particular rang a bell with all Americans. One sentence in particular restructured and reformed how Americans interacted with blacks after that day.
I have a dream that my four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Dr. King said, I have a dream that my four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. That one sentence, perhaps more than anything else, was a unifier for all American families, because to be honest, everyone wants that same thing. Everyone wants to be treated fairly, based upon their own merits. Everyone wants equality. Everyone believes that life should be fair, moral, and respective of the American goals of truth, justice, and the American dream. And everyone wants to be judged by their own character, and everyone wants this for their own children. So yes, part of the promise of the American dream was independence for all. But then, as Dr. King pointed out, maybe there should still be judgment, but maybe it should be based upon character, upon the individual character of that person. But as I look around America today, I have a feeling that the concept of character, of personal responsibility, of dignity and integrity, of accountability is being lost, that we as a people have lost our way. So, what is character? What was Dr. King really trying to get at? Well, we all people, need to be judged by our character, by the ways we think, feel, and behave, by our words and actions. Character is the moral or ethical qualities of a person. It's the qualities of honesty, fortitude, integrity. It refers to a person's reputation. Do they have a positive reputation or a past life which is a stain on one's character? In essence, if a person is to be judged by his or her own character, each individual should be judged by his or her own qualities, traits, attributes that make up his or her individuality and distinctiveness. Is this a person who is honest or lies, who shows honor or dishonor, who is respectable to others or disrespectful, who shows sincerity, loyalty, and responsibility, goodness and morality, or otherwise? Does the person tend to lie, cheat, or steal? Does he or she gossip? Are they toxic to have around, tending to cause problems or exacerbate them? Are they responsible or irresponsible? Can you rely on them? Can you trust them and count on them? Will they hold the confidence or leak it to everyone at work? Are they caretakers or do they use people? Are they optimistic or pessimistic? Do they follow through with their promises? Are they gentle people, kind and sensitive, or loud, vulgar, and profane? Can you depend on them? And would you trust them with your life? Your character defines who you are. And Dr. King was exactly right. It has no bearing on a person's race or skin color. It comes down to character, the way someone thinks, feels, and behaves, someone's personality. Yes, our character traits are important in being able to achieve our goals, but they are even more important for getting along with other people, for being accepted in society, and for determining what other people think of us and whether or not they want to interact with us and in what ways. These are the factors that affect the success we have in life. And that's what Dr. King was trying to say. It's about your character. It's about strength of character. It's about having high standards and always doing the right thing. Hey, be safe, be well, and remember, life is about faith and character and love. And may God bless.